Welcome to Many
Good morning,
Millions,
traders.
where we focus
Welcome
on the
back.
many
Today,
reps
I just
and the
wanted to give a
million
little bit more
moments
of the
it
lay of the
takes
land
to
of how I
build a
prepare,
trading career.
rather than just capturing my trades. I have a little bit of extra time. Wanted to dive into it with you. So I've zoomed out here on the 15-minute time frame. You can see we played off of this level that we're currently at, about the 68.82 level. We've had a lot of bouncing in this level, right? A lot of consolidation after some heavy moves up, pushed off, came back down to this level here, touched and rejected off of there, although that's a pretty large level to call it a zone. But we have had action definitely happen at this price level. So I'm going to zoom back in on the 1 minute. It's not my favorite level, but definitely be setup worthy. And you can see my indicator actually triggering that a little bit. So after yesterday, I actually had some decent B setups. I've recovered a little bit here. Back up to 49,586.90. And I think I might take this trade. It's right here at the open. Yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and take it. 950 reversal. Kind of like it. Now you'll notice I'm not quite where I want to be on my stop loss. I actually think I'm going to fix that. Scale out. I should have been paying closer attention to where that sits. I'm going to give it a chance here. Then I need to bring this down a little bit beyond my 20 ticks. Now, ideally, that would mean I could bring it up into this level. Depends on where this VWAP goes. I'm going to watch it here. Whoops. Didn't quite mean to scale out that much. But I have seen the market pulling back like this, and then it'll push up. So I kind of like that I scaled out that much. I'm going to re-enter here a little bit heavier. Let me get rid of one of these stop limits, and we'll just switch this over to 10. I also like the volume profile going on here. Let me zoom in or zoom out a little bit so you can see this, but I definitely have my 1, 2, 3 on ramp that I like. What we don't have is the double bottom, and that's where I may watch this a little bit more closely to pull back against me, and I might just cut it quicker. Depends on where this momentum goes. I don't love that it's kind of respecting the 9 EMA. If anything, it looks like it's going to be a bearish day. It's crossed over the 9 EMA, crossed over, but then immediately pushes back down. That to me is not a good sign. So if I can get another 75 out of this, I might just take it and run. Or 135, I'd take that. It's just a little too hesitant for me. So B setup, I don't typically stay in that trade as long. Here's another one I'm watching. Again, I took this long, right? But I kind of thought it might reverse. It had some hesitancy. That's why I typically keep my B setup short. I'm not certain that I'm going to have the full push all the way through to the top of the range like I look for. I would ideally like to see this as an A setup because I think it's going to work really, really well. It's coming down on the 9 stochastic just into oversold, maybe not quite. But these other two are definitely in oversold conditions here, my slower stochastics. You can see my indicator has actually thrown a support level right here. So if I can get this to close right above the 9 EMA, I think we're going to get some good momentum out of it. Go ahead and enter with 10 lots there. But I am a little hesitant with 10 lots. That's quite a bit on a B setup. Yeah, this one's going to pull against me here. And just about stop me out. Wonder if it would pull back a little bit so I don't need to take such a big hit. Because I now have my bullish divergence, and I'd be looking for an A setup now if I can get it to cross over that 9 EMA. This is always a tough one. Do you take a $175 loss instead of that $200 loss, or do you wait it out, hope that it'll actually turn around? It's always a tough one. I think I'm going to close that right there at an $87 loss on my B setup because I don't love that entry. And I'm going to look for an A plus entry now that I've got my bullish divergence. Again, I haven't recovered quite as much from my A setup account after yesterday's loss. 49,821 is what I'm at here. We just need a little bit more of a dip. I'd like to see it kind of consolidate over here, roll over on this 9 stochastic, come down to this level here on my 14 stochastic, and then stay above that 9 EMA. Yeah, interestingly, my indicator is not given an A signal here because we're not quite in the oversold conditions we should be in. That's still a pretty good trade to me, but it's not an A setup. It stays above that 9 EMA. I'm going to zoom in here a little bit more on my volume. That may give me the last kind of indication that I need to say, is this worth entering? And I don't love it because the volume's actually going down. That to me means this isn't going to have the momentum to push to the top of the range like I want. It's probably going to just continue to consolidate in here for a minute till we get that volume. And we're already middle of the range here on the 9 stochastic. We're what, 40, about 40 on the 14 stochastic. So not ready to enter yet. We're gonna hold out. We're gonna be patient. Still looking for that A setup. My first A plus setup here. It is closing above that 9 EMA, maybe just barely, but I did enter a little bit early. I think I've been anxious for this A setup, and so I did enter a little bit early. I don't recommend that. This one I'm going to try to take all the way up to the VWAP. I'm hoping it's now got the momentum to carry through. We're going to see if we might even scale in a little bit. Maybe another 3 lots here. What you will never see me do on an A plus setup, especially, but even a B setup, I just have gotten rid of this habit entirely. I never scale in when it's pulled against me. I'm willing to scale in if I have it running in my favor, but never if I'm in the red. I think that's a terrible mindset. And it's one that I struggled with initially as a trader, but I've long since moved past it. I know how much money I've lost doubling down on a loser. Now, ideally, I'd have my stop loss down here maybe just a tiny bit more, but with the amount of momentum this bearish bar had coming down, I'm really not too worried about it. In fact, I'm ready to scale in if I can get this candle to close where it's at. I'm going to push a little bit higher even. I may wait until it pulls back just a little bit to scale in. It's that price averaging, and so a lot of times the way MES is moving now, it's that bar up, bar back down to the 9 EMA, close to it. But I am going to move my stop loss up here in preparation, and I'll scale in here. Of course, scaled in a little bit early. Now comes the pullback. As long as it respects that 9 EMA, I'm not too worried. Again, I kind of want to call out the emotional state of an A setup. I'm calm, I'm confident, even when it's ticking against me just barely. I'm really not too worried about this trade. And I think it's important not to get emotional. Now, this one may tap me out. It sure looks like it wants to. And you can see how it's reacted here inside of the stochastics. It's not the straight up that I would look for. Again, this just kind of screams to the weird volatility of the market. MES historically has just been very methodical in these ticks up, bouncing off the range with these A plus setups. So I'm going to look for, I may look for a $200 exit here if I can get it. If I get a little bit of a pop up to here, I may just take that. Let's see if it can hold the 9 EMA here and respect it. Yeah, it doesn't look like it wants to, does it? I'm afraid it's going to tap me out and I shouldn't have scaled in. We've got a definitive hook coming back down on the 9 stochastic. That's the fast stochastic. That's what will react right now. Yeah, thought so. You'll notice I actually did not add the 3 lots to my stop. That means I'm going to let it take down to here, my original stop loss, and if it taps that, I'm out. But if not, I'm going to try to stay in here. Yeah, I'm going to get out of this one. So lost there on the A setup after scaling in. And that hurts doubly. Like I said, I don't typically like to scale in on a loser, and that one got me. That one kind of faked me out a little bit. Now we're into the 2 last B setups here. So this first one, scaled back, I'm only in 6 lots. Looked very hesitant, so I didn't have high confidence, although I love the hooks coming through on the 9 and 14 stochastics here. So as it starts to play in my favor a little bit, I lean towards just cutting it quick because it doesn't look like it really has that momentum. I see volume drying up, even though I've got my 1, 2, 3 on ramp. And I get to the point where I'm almost overbought on the 9 stochastic and the 14. So I just take some profit there, a little bit of profit. This next one, I'm trying to short it coming off of the VWAP now. It crossed just over it. And this one does not go in my favor. I've got a good off ramp, right? Look at the 1, 2, 3 off ramp that I look for on my volume profiles. Looks really good that way. And I'm even getting ready to scale in an extra couple of lots here, but it really pulls against me almost immediately and kind of stayed against me from there. So I cut my losses before it becomes too problematic. And I don't want to let a green day on my B setup account turn into a red day. As discussed, we already have a red day on my A plus account, so I took a $90 loss there. Time for the accountability portion of the video. So right now I've actually got both of my accounts turned on. Nope, take that back. I've got my A setup only turned on. So my profit factor is 0.94. I have had a lot of losing trades here. Now, critically, here's what you notice a difference of. I'm still proud of this fact. Even though I've had more red days than green days, I started out with 3 trades, 2 trades, 2 trades. Now I'm back down to 1 trade, which is typically what I aim for in an A plus account setup. I take 1 trade, win or lose. That's kind of my trade for the day. So we did end up slightly green here, $93 on the week. That's not great, but I'll take a green week. We had that 1 trade here, the $211 loss, right? That's okay. That comes with the territory. Nothing really that I did wrong there necessarily. I would say it was a little early entry, but it still ended up being an A plus setup. I would have taken it again. Now, I can go back through yesterday's trades and see that there was an A plus setup that I wasn't in front of that would have been the best trade of the day. You can't always catch those, and what I like to say is you're going to remember the trades you took, not the ones you missed. There's always going to be a trade you missed. Don't waste your time thinking about those trades. So let me go into my stats here really quick. I'm going to go into the reports section here, give you a little bit better view. I like to review these too for my longs versus shorts and figure out what my percentage of wins are comparatively. So it looks like I'm winning more on the shorts, as you can tell. These are the blue. My longs are doing okay, but I've definitely won less trades on that. Net P&L, I'm down $47. That's not bad. And my win rate, 45%. Let's come over here to, I really like this overview. Kind of gives you a lay of the land of everything. So if you want to pause this and dive a little bit deeper into winning trade, average winning trade is $145.84. Crucially, my average losing trade is less than that, $129. But that means I'm really kind of sitting at break even right now, right? I'm not getting a whole lot out of this account yet. Let's go back over to my 031 account. This one, I've got a worse profit factor. And I did end up, I even called this out on that last trade. I didn't want to let it turn into a green day, turn into a red day. Turns out this $96 loss, that last trade did turn it into a red day. And Tradezilla rightfully calling out that it's a deep drawdown day for me. So we've got a 0.95 profit factor here. Again, I don't pay a ton of attention to that. This was a really, really bad day here, though, right? And I still think it keeps adding another trade back in here. I don't know why it's doing this. According to the automatic sync, it keeps pulling this in, even though I didn't take two separate trades there. So whatever reason. So we had a negative week there on the B setup account. We barely had a negative week on the first couple of days. Let's go into the reports here on the B setup. This one's a little more interesting. I'm pretty flat, honestly. If you look at the longs versus shorts, I think they're almost equal. Now, across here, they were definitely dead even. I had a little bit more on the long here, but the short matched it. Long here, short didn't match it. So my longs are actually working out a little bit better on the B setups, but only a 42% win rate, and net P&L is negative $685 overall. We get into these bigger stats here, so you can see my average winning trade. I'm at $83. Average losing trade is $105. So I am actually on a negative offset there. That's not what you want to see. I'm going to regroup, though, starting next week, and you're going to see a lot less trades on the B setup as well. I typically don't trade as often as I am taking trades, and I'm doing that a little bit for the videos. But even in my B setup, if I take $100 single trade profit, I may just sit on that. I get a lot more opportunities than that, but it's been really hard to keep up with doing these videos, compiling them, and trying to trade every single day, especially in between my full-time job. So I felt that last week. I'm going to make some adjustments probably to this series. Try to keep it as similar as I can, but there may just be times when I need to revert back and show you this at the end of the day, and I may not show the individual trades quite as often. We'll see how that turns out next week. Thanks for joining, though. See you in the next one.